They ordered drinks and appetizers, and the white man selected a Partagas cigar. "Cigars aren't a vice of yours?" the white man asked. "I have no vices," said the tiger. "I am pure of heart." The white man laughed at that. "The money has been transferred. 350,000. You're going back now?" "Yes. Later tonight, in fact. I'm looking forward to being home in Nigeria." The man nodded. "Even in such troubled times?" "Especially now. There's lots of work for me. I like being lazy. Oil-rich. Getting there, anyway. By my standards." The white man clipped his expensive cigar, and the tiger sipped his cognac. He wasn't certain, but he thought he knew who his employer was. It wouldn't be the first time. This group's contractors in Africa weren't always reliable, but he was. Always. "There's something else." "There always is," said the tiger. "With you people. You're being followed by an American policeman. He won't go to Africa after me." "Yes, actually, he will. You might have to kill him, but we would prefer you didn't. His name is Alex Cross." "I see. Alex Cross. Not smart to travel all the way to Africa just to die." "No," said the white man. "Try to remember that yourself."
Part 2. Sign of the Cross. Chapter 27.
The tiger was an enigma in every way, a mystery no one had ever solved. Actually, there were no tigers in Africa, which was how he got his nickname. He was like no other, one of a kind, superior to all the other animals, especially humans. Before he went to school in England, the tiger had lived in France for a couple of years, and he had learned French and English. He discovered he had a gift for languages, and he could remember almost everything he learned or read. His first summer in France, he sold mechanical birds to children in the parking areas outside the palace at Versailles. He learned a valuable lesson there: to hate the white man, and especially white families. This day, he had a mission in a city he didn't much like, because the foreigner had left too much of a mark here. The city was Port Harcourt, in the Delta region of Nigeria, where most of the oil wells were located. The game was on. He had another bounty to collect. A black Mercedes was speeding up a steep hill toward the wealthy foreigners' part of the city, and straight toward the tiger as well. As always, he waited patiently for his prey. Then he wandered out into the street like some poor drunkard on a binge. The Mercedes would either have to stop very quickly or strike him head-on. Probably because he was so large and might dent the car. At the last possible moment, the chauffeur applied the brakes. The tiger could see the liveried black scum cursing him from behind the spotlessly clean windshield. So he raised his pistol fast and shot the driver and a bodyguard through the glass. His boys, wild, were already at both rear doors of the limousine, breaking the side windows with crowbars. Then they threw open the doors and pulled out the screaming white school children, a boy and a girl in their early teens. "Don't harm them! I have other plans!" he yelled. An hour later, he had the boy and girl inside a shack on a deserted farm outside the city. They were dead now, unrecognizable, even if they were found eventually. He had boiled them in a pot of oil. His employer had ordered this manner of death, which happened to be common in Sudan. The tiger had no problem with it. Finally, he pulled out his cell phone and called a number in town. When the phone was picked up on the other end, he didn't allow the American parents to speak. Nor would he ever talk to the local police or to the private contractor who worked for the oil company and was supposed to protect them from harm. "You want to see young Adam and Chloe again, you do exactly as I say. First of all, I don't want to hear a word from you. Not a word." One of the cops spoke, of course, and he hung up on him. He would call back later and have his money by the end of the day. It was easy work, and Adam and Chloe reminded him of the obnoxious and greedy white children who used to buy his mechanical birds at Versailles. He felt no regret for them. Nothing at all. It was just business to him. Just another large bounty to collect. And just the start of things to come.
Chapter 28. I was determined to follow the psycho killer and his gang wherever it took me, but I could see this wasn't going to be easy. Quite the opposite. "You took my passport? Did I get that right?" I asked Nana. "You actually stole my passport?" She ignored the questions and set a plate of scrambled eggs in front of me. Overdone, and no toast, I noticed. So this was war. "That's right," she said. "You behave like an obstinate child, that's how I treat you. Purloined," she added. "I prefer purloined to stole." I pushed the plate away. "Ellie Cox died because of this man, Nana. So did her family. And another family here in D.C. Don't pretend this has nothing to do with us." "You mean you? And your job, Alex? That's what this has to do with." She poured a half cup of coffee, then headed for her room. I called after her. "You know stealing someone's passport is against the law? So arrest me," she said, and slammed shut her door. 6 in the morning, and round 1 of the new day was already over. We'd been building up to this ever since I first mentioned the possibility of my going to Africa. At first, she'd been coy, with news articles cropping up around the house. I found a Time cover story, "The Deadly Delta," snipped out and left with my laundry one night. A BBC News piece with the headline, "Many Factions, No Peace for Nigeria," in an envelope next to my keys the next morning. When I ignored them, she moved on to lecturing, with a list of what-ifs and potential risks, as if I hadn't considered nearly every one of them myself. Muslims killing Christians in the north of Nigeria, Christians retaliating in eastern Nigeria, students lynching a Christian teacher, mass graves found in Okija, police corruption and brutality, daily kidnappings in Port Harcourt. It's not that she was all wrong. These murder cases were already dangerous, and I hadn't even given up the home court advantage yet. The truth was, I didn't know what to expect in Africa. All I knew was that if I had a chance to shut this butcher down, I was going to take it. The CIA contact there had signaled the murder suspect was in Lagos right now, or at least he had been a few days ago. I'd pulled some strings to expedite my visa application. Then I had cashed in 75,000 miles for a last-minute ticket to Lagos. Now the only obstacle was my 88-year-old grandmother. Big obstacle. She stayed in her room until I left for work that morning, refusing to even talk about the purloined passport. Obviously, I couldn't get far without it. Chapter 29. That night, I gave Nana Mama a little taste of her own medicine. I waited until late, after the kids had gone to bed. Then I found her in her favorite reading chair, huddled over a copy of Eats, Shoots, and Leaves. "What's this?" She squinted at the manila folder in my hand as if it might bite her. "More news articles. I want you to take a look at them. They tell a horrible story, Nana. Murder, fraud, rape, genocide." The article I'd given Nana included coverage of the gang's D.C. murders. There were 2 long and well-written stories from the Post, one on each family, including pictures from happier times, like when they'd had their heads. "Alex, I've already told you. I know what's going on there. I don't want to discuss this anymore." "Neither do I." "You don't have to solve every single case. Let it go for once in your life." "I wish I could." I put the folder flat on her lap, kissed the warm top of her head, and went up to bed. "Stubborn," I muttered. "Yes, you are. Very." Chapter 30. In the morning, I went downstairs around 5:30. I was surprised to see that Janny and Ali were already up. Nana stood fiddling around at the stove with her back to me. She was cooking something cinnamony and irresistible. I sensed a trap. Janny ferried glasses of orange juice from the counter to the table, where there were already silverware and cloth napkins for 5. Ali was already sitting at his place, working on a big bowl of cereal and milk. He saluted me with a drippy spoon. "He's here." "Ate too, Ali?" "Well, this is a pleasant surprise," I said, loud enough for the whole room. Nana didn't respond, but she had heard me, for sure. Only then did I notice a yellow-bordered National Geographic map of Africa scotch-taped to the refrigerator door. And also, set down with the napkins and silverware on the table, my passport. "So," said Nana, "it was nice knowing you." Chapter 31. A CIA operative named Ian Flaherty was babysitting a hysterical family down in Port Harcourt, Nigeria. The parents' teenaged son and daughter had been kidnapped. They were gathered together in the living room, waiting to learn the ransom demands, and the atmosphere couldn't have been more desperate. Oh no, Flaherty had thought. His cell rang, and everyone crowded into the room, looked at him with anxious faces and deep concern. "I'm sorry I have to take this. It's another case," he said, then walked out into the lush gardens just off the living room. America was calling. Another kind of emergency. Flaherty recognized the voice on the other end as that of Eric Dana, his superior, at least in rank. "We have quite a situation on our hands. A homicide detective named Alex Cross is on his way there. He'll arrive on Lufthansa Flight 564 at 4:30 p.m. "The Tiger's in Lagos?" Dana asked. "He's here," said Flaherty. "You've seen him yourself?" "I have, actually. Do you want me to meet the detective's plane?" "I'll leave that up to you. Probably be best if I meet him. Alex Cross, you say? Let me think about it." "All right, but you have to watch over him. Don't let anything happen to him, when it can be helped. He's well-liked here and connected. We don't want a mess over there." "Too late for that," Flaherty said, and snickered a nasty, cynical laugh. He went back to comfort the family whose children were probably already dead. But they would pay anyway. Chapter 32. Well, the investigation had definitely taken a turn now. But was it for better or for worse? The plane from Washington to Frankfurt, Germany, was nearly full, and it was incredibly noisy for the first hour anyway. I spent some idle time guessing who might be continuing on to Africa, but it wasn't too long before I fell back into my own dark reveries. Everything that had led to this trip ran through my head like extended case notes, going all the way back to my Georgetown days with Ellie, and then up to Nana's grudging consent that morning. Nana's going-away gift, such as it was, sat open on my lap. It was a copy of Wole Soyinka's memoir, You Must Set Forth at Dawn. She'd bookmarked it with a family photo. Janny, Damon, and Ali, cheesing with Donald Duck at Disneyland a year or so back, and she had underlined a quotation on the page. Tiagba Bande, Aye Ogunja. As one approaches an elder's status, one ceases to indulge in battles. It was her version of getting the last word, I suppose, except that it had the opposite effect on me. I was more determined than ever to make this trip count for something. Whatever the odds against me, I was going to find the killers of Ellie's family. I had to. I was the Dragon Slayer. Chapter 33.
Ah, Soyinka, an illuminating writer. Have you read him before?
I didn't realize that someone had stopped in the aisle alongside my seat. I looked up, though just barely, at the shortest priest I'd ever seen. Not the shortest man, but definitely the shortest priest. His white collar came just to my eye level. "No, this is my first," I said. "It was a going-away gift from my grandmother." His smile got even brighter. His